Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 96 of the income stream. Today, we're continuing our two-part process. This is the final conclusion of our book series. Yesterday, we talked about creating a book, turning an idea into something real, outlining it, how to actually get that first draft, which is the most important part of this process because nothing comes until you get that first draft finished. So yesterday was all about getting that first draft, how to write effectively, how to write quickly, all that kind of stuff. Today, we're taking our book and we're going to put it out there into the world. We're going to figure out how in the world can we get people to know this book exists. If that is something of interest to you, or even if you're not creating a book, a lot of these tactics will work when you launch anything. Anyway, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to say hi to everybody in just a moment, but first, enjoy the intro. Thanks for being here.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
All right, we're talking books today. Here's my latest book, Superfans, which came out in summer of last year. And the fun thing about this is, and I want to just get right into this, it was not a surprise that this book was coming out. I spoke about this at the end of yesterday, but this book was something that was a work in public. And that's one of the first strategies that I love to offer you. And this is something I do with anything. For example, a lot of you might have heard or started hearing rumors or started hearing noise about something that SPI is coming out with in July. SPI, my business, Smart Passive Income, a membership site, SPI Pro. More on that coming later. But that's something that people start knowing about at the time because a lot of the work required to get people to move on something happens before that thing even comes about. I want you to think about, let's say, for example, you were a musician, right? And you have something like a show coming up. Are you going to let people know about that show when you get on stage, you do the sound check, the lights are good, you're ready to get going, and then are you going to sell tickets to that thing? Probably not. And if you did that, well, it's not going to work out. Or you just have to be a part of somebody else's concert in order to get noticed, which does have themes related to things that we're talking about today. But other than that, first of all, let's just say hello to everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Let's see. We got Gabriella in the house. We got Malini. Good to see you. We got Consult the Blind Guy, Peasant Uprising. I'm so excited to know about this topic. Thank you so much. SPI, says Louis B. Good to see you here. I've done a small beta test. I'm ready for this, Pat. Butterfly, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Joel. I appreciate what you're doing to help the people in this world. I'm very interested in learning this topic. My world of traditional book publishing and marketing has upended. Indeed. Mano says, were you late because you wanted to make some coffee? That's exactly why I was late. How did you know? That's exactly why I was late. Let's see, who else is in the house today? We got Gabriella, Dr. Tonya. Cool. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate you. You are amazing. 100 miles to go, 6K miles walked since January 2017. That's incredible. Good morning. Okay, so let's talk about this book writing thing, right? Well, not book writing, but book amplifying. How do we get people to know this thing exists? My favorite way is to let people in on the process. And I told this story at the end of yesterday, but I'll tell it once again. My book, Superfans, was written in public. In fact, this was a part of a process that happens in November for a lot of authors called NaNoWriMo. That is National Novel Writers Month. And this is the month, in the month of November, where writers are challenging themselves to write 1,000 words in the month of November, which is really the length of a book. Books are all different lengths, by the way. Let Go, my first book was about 22,000 words. Will It Fly was about 60,000. Superfans was about 50,000. So it doesn't necessarily have to hit 50,000. But my goal in November of 2019 was to finish a book. And there was a whole long story about how this book was coming to be, and I tried some other methods to get it written, and it just wasn't working. Anyway, I got it done in about 36 days, finishing on my birthday, December 6, 2018, and the team took it from there and was able to get it out there. But a part of that writing process was letting people know that I was writing something and getting them involved in the process. Then when the book revealed its title and I was letting people know, the book was going to come out in July. I started letting people know about this book in February. Indeed, actually on the podcast and on the blog and on my YouTube channel, letting people know that a book was coming and more about what it was about. I started teasing more about the kinds of things that were in the book. For example, I started writing blog posts and even coming out with podcast episodes that were about specific topics within the book itself. I started talking a little bit more about Kevin Kelly and his article, 1,000 True Fans, which inspired this book. I started talking more about customer service and the customer journey. I started being louder and louder about the fact that SEO and paying for ads should be upended and flipped on its script. And we should focus more on the customer journey. And more, as I started mentioning this again and again, by the time July rolled around and this thing was launched, and I launched it and I made a big deal out of it, FlynnCon, it wasn't a surprise anymore. Everybody knew it existed. And this is actually what made the surprise at FlynnCon, which is my main event here in San Diego. We had 500 entrepreneurs in San Diego. They all knew it was coming out. They just didn't know when. And they all got a free physical copy while they were there. And we got to do a book signing, which was really fun. So that was pretty amazing. Let Go was a pretty quick read to me indeed. Yes. Thanks, Bernard. And the reason why it was quick is because I didn't have any much more to say. And I think that's another thing about these pieces of content that we come out with. Short form, like blog posts or videos, or long form, like podcast episodes and books, right? You don't need to add more than you need to add in order to offer the transformation. I think for a lot of us who are creating, we suspect that we need to get to a certain level or have it be a certain length. This is very common in the book writing, have it be 40 to 50,000 words, especially because that's what traditional publishers are looking for. It's kind of what's known out there, so you have to add fluff and all this stuff. Anyway, we talked about book writing yesterday. Work in public. That's essentially what I'm revealing here. Now, it might be a little scary, right? It might be a little scary letting people in on your process, letting people know up front that you're working on something, because now you got to be held accountable to it, right? Now there's people who are expecting you to come out with this book. But I'll tell you, as a part of the book writing process, just man, you can't get any better than having people really understand that by a certain time you're going to be coming out with something, and then it's going to get you to move. That's the case for sure. So if you have something to coming out, letting people know ahead of time and getting them in on the process is a great way to market your book while it's being created. Right? What's cool about this is there's going to be a lot of people who get really interested in the process with you. And this is where another strategy comes into play. And to help you even further, I wanted to offer you where you can find this episode. If you look up Jeff Goins is a good friend of mine, an amazing author, somebody who definitely, hey, where's my computer screen, by the way? Why are you seeing my second? Oh, there you are. Let me go full screen for you. There you go. Jeff Goins in episode, 79. This is a really interesting episode because in this podcast, I interviewed Jeff knowing that I have a book coming out. The book was called Will It Fly? And the second half of the interview, the same exact podcast episode, was a recap of the things that I did right and the things that I did wrong, the things that I implemented from the first half and the things that I forgot to do or didn't do properly or were just unexpected surprises, both positive and negative. So this was a fun time travel episode. I think, in fact, no, this was perhaps Let Go, not and anything having to do with time travel I'm all about, as you know. But the before and after, and Jeff being an expert, was really great. There's one strategy that we talked about that worked really well here, and that was a book launch team. Having what we like to call a street team or a book launch team of just any number of people. And it doesn't have to be a huge number. In fact, Jeff was saying that, even 15 to 20 people can do you some major good. This becomes an amazing method to help you get the word out, especially on the day that your book launches. But you have to plan ahead of time for the book launch team. If you have a book coming out, gather members of your tribe, of your family, of your network who want to support you, who want to be a part of this, who also want early access to your book. Put them together in a Facebook group or some other membership platform where for free they can come together. They can get access to you. They can communicate with you. They can get access to the manuscript early or different parts of it. They can have a little bit more say about maybe what the back cover looks like or what the forward says or anything like that. And when you get people excited and making them feel like they're in and they're a part of the process, you know this, if you've read Superfans, I talk about this. When you get people involved, they get invested. When you get people involved, they get invested. And this is an amazing way to sort of level up that involvement in the creation process of your book, right? Grandma Goody's asking here, hey, has anybody here ever been a part of a book launch team? Right? There's really great ones that are very active, and there's ones that marketers obviously put together just so that on the day that they launch, they go, hey, can you leave a review for me? Which is a benefit of having a group. hey, can you share it out there with your tribe, which is another benefit of having a group. But if you don't provide any value to there, it just is a very taking situation, and you're not going to get as much love as if you were, or instead, if you were to help people feel like they were involved in that process, to even get them involved in some of the decision making, to make them feel special, right? Which any member of any group wants to feel. SPI Pro, coming soon in July, by the way. See what I did? I'm teasing stuff that's coming out so that you kind of know, and it's not a surprise when it comes out later. Anyway, I haven't taken a sip of coffee yet, but I'm just on a roll here. Anyway, is this making sense? The idea of a book launch team. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, well, I'm not that big. I don't have hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people like you, Pat, who I can just go, hey, can I have a book launch team? Well, like I said, you don't have to have a large book launch team. And just a few members can do a great job for you. Because when you launch your book, the last thing you want is your book to get up on Amazon, for example, and then have there be 0 reviews, have there be 0 activity, and have it seem like it's already a dead end for people who come and see that later, which, as we'll talk about later, they will see because you're going to make a big deal out of this, right? This is your launch day. This is a big deal. You can include bonuses. You can include reasons to buy now, and I'm going to offer some advice for you related to that in just a minute. Liking that shirt, Pat says, my castle life. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yes, book launch team. Awesome. Yes, thank you. That was just what I was thinking. I almost have 0 members. And that's okay. It's okay if you don't feel like you have a ton of people because you don't need very many. Just a few special people who many times when you bring people along for the ride, they'll invite their friends to be a part of this as well, especially if the topic of the book is something that can get them results. This is where you can get people to become a part of your book launch team, not to necessarily 100% and for the reason of supporting you. That will be a byproduct of people getting early access to the process of what it is that you're teaching, right? So if you have a nonfiction book, this is going to be a lot easier than a fiction book, although there are pros and cons to both fiction and nonfiction as well. But when you have a process and something that you teach, getting people in early so that they can read the manuscript, go through that process, and get results, and of course, the easier it is for people to get those results, the better, the more likely it is that this book is going to help you, and this book launch team is going to support you too, right? So you can position it as a book launch team and a beta group to run through the process that you teach. You can even do it weeks ahead of time. I would do this maybe 6 to 8 weeks ahead of schedule of the launch of your book. And that way, or even earlier if you wanted to, and especially if you're getting people involved in the process or you need some time to even work through some result giving to people to inject into the book, right? So, I mean, this could be really early on, people. I mean, you could offer for free a 6-week course, if you will, to run through a process that you teach in the book. And it just so happens that through that process, you're collecting these stories. You're building an audience. You are getting results and testimonials for your book. Grandma Goody says, Pat, would you say launch team should be representative of target audience? If possible, yes. It doesn't have to be 100%. In fact, it can be very valuable to have people outside of that target audience have their voice be heard in that group as well, to give you some other perspectives as well. Another extension of the book launch team is, instead of users or members of your target audience, having your friends, your network, your colleagues, your other people in your space, in your niche, in your industry, other people who you know serve the same audience, come on board as well. In fact, part of the book launch process, in my opinion, is to get out and get seen on other people's channels, right? So let's talk about this really quick. You've seen book tours, right? Book tours where an author will launch a book and then they'll go and travel to many great places to extend the word, to sign copies of books at bookstores and whatnot. That's very tedious, right? And in fact, most people aren't doing that anymore. Most people are actually getting more benefit by doing things like being a guest on other people's podcasts, which is like an amazing, amazing strategy. One that absolutely just is ridiculously incredible with helping people, and that you exist, number one, and you're getting an endorsement by somebody else too, which is pretty crazy, right? So let me tell you a quick story here. So when I launched, there we go, let's turn that down a little bit. When I launched my book, Will It Fly? Ahead of schedule, because podcasters like to get ahead of schedule. You don't want to have a book coming out next week and then ask your friends to get on their show. for the launch. It's not going to work. But the more time that you give it, hey Archer, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Zenia Vlada says, Pat, your haircut looks good. Props to April. April, thank you so much. Yeah, she did I was literally like wanting to pull my hair out because of that. Anyway, this isn't a story about my haircut. This is a story about 12 to 8 weeks before the launch of my book, Superfans. Reaching out to podcasters, friends, people who weren't even friends who I knew had the same audience, and if I could come on and talk about the topics of the book and actually just give people a lot of that content free on their podcast. Remember, whenever you're trying to get on somebody else's platform, always try as much as possible to come from a giving perspective, even if it is for you. And if it's a book launch, it's very obvious that it's for you. But how can you still position that effort to be of value to the people who you are going to be working with? Because in return, you're going to get so much love. You're going to get a lot of endorsement. You're going to get further reach as a result of that. So for Will It Fly, I planned 8 to 12 weeks prior to the launch of the show to just in one particular week, batch process as many guest podcast interviews that I could do. And I think I did about, I'm trying to remember exactly how many I did. I think I did 40 to 50, right? And many of them were friends and colleagues, people who were on my show at one point in time before. Hey, you were on my show, you were awesome. I have this book coming out. Might I be able to have an opportunity to come on your show and share information about what I teach in my book, Will It Fly, to help your audience understand how to not waste their time, not waste their money? I think helpful for you, and it will be helpful for me too. It's okay to ask for favors. It's definitely okay to ask for favors. However, asking for a favor out of the blue, not going to work. You don't want to have the experience be like you reach out to somebody for the first time and they're like, Pat Flynn. Oh, Pat Flynn, yeah. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey. So I have a book coming out in a couple months, which is pretty cool. Oh, that's pretty cool. You do. That's really amazing. Congrats. Yeah, I was wondering if I could get on your podcast, and that would be really helpful if I could get on your show and get more readers and whatnot. And I promise I'm going to deliver value to your people. I promise you. I mean, it wasn't in the schedule, and we haven't chatted. Like, what is this book about? Like, what have you been up to? I don't even know what you're doing. Like, let's have a chat first, maybe. Well, actually, I gotta go. Right? We don't want it to be like that. I like this from Lewis B. Right. Out of the blue and into the black. You paid for this, but they gave you that. Out of the blue and into the black. You paid for this, but they give you that. That didn't work out as I thought it was going to work out. But anyway, you want to dig your well before you're thirsty. So if you have a book coming out in the near future, maybe 2 months and more than that, start reaching out to people now with no other agenda than to connect and to collaborate and offer value, right? Outside of the book, right? Outside of the book. So yeah, let's make sure that we do that, right? So some things that you can do. Go into your email inbox, scroll down to the last page of your email and see who you reached out to or who you could reach out to that you haven't reached out to in a while. Go to your text messages, scroll all the way down to the bottom and see who you haven't messaged in a while. This is something that Jordan Harbinger taught me. It's called your layoff lifelines, right? Your layoff lifelines. He used these recently when he got let go from his company, The Art of Charm. In fact, he was the host of the show, and his other teammates kicked him out of the business and kept part of his name to keep the show going. And he was out on the streets doing nothing. But he called me. He called a number of his friends who he's kept in constant contact with over time. And he was very quick to get up another show. His new show, The Jordan Harbinger Show, is outpacing his old show. He's interviewed some amazing people like Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. And some amazing things have happened since then because he was able to get his feet back and running and his podcast back up and running as a result of the relationships that he built, right? So work now to build relationships so that by the time you do have a book coming out, it's so easy and it's not weird anymore to reach out to somebody and go, hey, I have a book coming out. Might you be able to help me get the word out there? And if it fits in your schedule, awesome. If not, no worries. And you're going to get people saying yes more often than not if you spend the time up front to build those relationships. So that's absolutely key. Can I get an amen? Can I get an emoji if you agree with that? This is the most important thing. I would not be here today if it wasn't for the relationships that I've built over time. And I don't know if it's because of my giving nature or whatever, but I do whatever I can to serve others first. And this has become my mantra: serve first. Serve first and you will be rewarded, right? Your earnings are a byproduct of how well you serve others. Your audience, other people in your space, the world. The world just has this way of paying back those who step up and help others first, right? Amen. Absolutely. Awesome. Great. Thank you for the link to Jordan Harbinger's Facebook group. Cool. Amen. Amen. Good stuff, y'all. Okay, so those relationships are key because you should be planning to go on a podcast tour. Guest podcasting is the new guest blogging. Seth Godin recently said that podcasting is the new blogging. And if that's the case, I'm saying that guest podcasting is the new guest blogging. By far, the easiest way to gain exposure, to get people to know, like, and trust you, and to have people be fed to your book. Plus, you might be able to work out a deal with some of these friends or colleagues or other people in your space to go, hey, I have 5 copies of my book I'd love to offer for you to give away to your audience. I love accepting offers like that. Now, I cannot accept offers anymore like that because I literally in my inbox get, and I get like this is going to go into the next tip here. Every week, I go to my mailbox at UPS, and sometimes Jess goes for me too. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate you. And I go in there, and it's to no surprise, there's at least 2 or 3 books sent to me, many with a note, but many from people who I've never heard of before. And if I were to, even though they're generous and they're offering these books for me for free, I know exactly what they're doing. They want me to read the book. They want me to get excited about it. And on a very rare occasion, I'll have somebody who I don't know excite me enough with the topic of the book to have me go further, reach out to them and work together to bring them on the show and give them the exposure that they're looking for. Because, like we just talked about, they're coming out of the blue and into the black, right? So we don't want that to be the case. But in addition to that, I do have a lot of friends and colleagues and friends of mine who send me stuff, but it's very generic, right? They send messages with a pamphlet inside that says, I might even have, hold on. No, I don't have one. But I was going to say, I have these books. Actually, no, wait. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to reveal the title of this book, but it was another example of a book that sent me a message that was from the publisher that said, didn't even say my name in the message. It was just a very generic insert that said, like, it was just talking this author up. And I knew this person, and I knew them already. And honestly, if they just reached out to me and like one-on-one or sent me a video or something, I mean, I would have responded to that. This is the easiest trick to get through a person's inbox and have them know you exist and remember and also want to support you is this tool right here. Boom. Right? Boom. I'm going to make up a name. Robin. Hey, Robin. Pat here. I don't know if you knew this, but in a couple months I have a book coming out, and I hope you're doing well. I saw that you and your family went to Disneyland, which is kind of crazy during this COVID time. I hope that your family was safe, and my family wants to go too. Maybe we can talk about that later. But anyway, this book coming out, right? I know you have a podcast, and this book is about X, Y, and Z, and I know that your audience would really respond to this. I remember when you were on my show, they responded to similar notes from the book that you came out with, and I'd love to support your community with my book. I also have 5 copies of the book that I'd love to offer for you to give away to the audience for free. Anyway, if that's of interest to you, let me know, Robin. Again, it's just great to connect, and all the best, and I'll see you later. Bye. And I send that through a direct message on Twitter or a direct message on Instagram, and I'll tell you, those people are going to see it, right? People are going to see it, for sure. Louis B., you're crazy. The Roamer says, this is how I feel about LinkedIn and Facebook requests to connect. Can you please attach a small real hello? Exactly, right? Exactly. Right? Nobody's gonna respond. If you reach out to somebody and you have, it's a generic response, you're not gonna go, Thank you so much for the generic response. I appreciate this. Now I want to get to know you a little bit more. That's not going to happen. You want people to respond with, whoa, this is amazing. Thank you so much for the message. How are you? You have this book coming out? That's awesome. Like, let's talk more about that. I think we can definitely fit that into the schedule. And yeah, it was cool connecting with you a couple weeks ago on Facebook. And thanks for letting me know. Right? I don't know if you know how Tim Ferriss got his book out there, The 4-Hour Workweek. But his book got popular because he was so interested in what everybody else was doing. Here's the quick story. All right. So when Tim Ferriss in 2006, 2007 was coming out with his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, I heard this story from Jeremy and Jason from Internet Business Mastery because they were on the receiving end of what Tim was doing. So Tim would go to conferences. And of course, today we can't go to conferences, but you can still reach out in a similar manner. And he would go and meet people and try to meet as many people as possible. And he would purposefully and genuinely try to get so interested in what the other people were doing. So interested such that people would then turn around and go, Tim, well, you never even told me about you and what you do. What do you do? Oh, well, I'm a new author. I have this company, but I'm writing this book called The 4-Hour Workweek because I focus on systems and automation. And I don't know, do you have any things in your business that I could help you automate? And then again, coming from a place of service, what can I do to help you, right? And he infiltrated these conferences as like the most helpful person in the world. And then in turn, because he got so interested, everybody got interested in him. And this is how, with all that effort done up front, he was able to time or ask for people to help push out his book at a certain moment in time. And that's how it became a New York Times bestseller, right? As a brand new author, because he went out and forcefully tried to help others and get interested in their stuff first. So this stuff works, y'all. Plus, the topic of the book itself is something that can market the book for you too. We talked about this yesterday with Hal Elrod's book and the pattern interrupts in a person's life. Wake up a little bit earlier, gain some momentum, feel a little bit more energized as a result of that. Following your savers, right? Your silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing or journaling. And again, his book, super easy to consume, pretty short. I think it's about 20 to 30,000 words. I'm talking about Hal Elrod and the Miracle Morning. And this is how his book continues to stay at the top of the charts. I saw it in Amazon's physical bookstore recently. It's a self-published book, by the way. He's got like 10 different sub-series of the Miracle Morning. He came out with his another book, The Miracle Equation, and he's helping people all around the world. It's just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. But it's because the book and the topic is so interesting and it changes people's behaviors right away. And what happens when they do that? They share it, right? This is why Superfans is actually getting a lot more momentum than Will It Fly from word of mouth. Because think about this. My book, Will It Fly, is specifically about the idea of starting a business from scratch and validating that idea up front, which takes time. It takes time. So I have less people picking up this book and immediately starting to share it with people because they're going through the process, right? As opposed to, think about Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning. Learn these 6 things that you do in the morning. Do it tomorrow when you wake up. You're going to feel better. Boom, you feel better. People go, I saw on Instagram you were up at 5 a.m. doing this Miracle Morning thing. What is that? Oh, you got to check this out. This is a book by Hal Elrod. I feel amazing. I got so much done before 7 a.m. You need to check it out. Bada bing, bada boom. He's sharing it with everybody, and they're sharing it, and they're sharing it, and it virally spreads, right? This is why Superfans is spreading a little bit faster than Will It Fly, because you can, in the first few chapters, literally see results. It flips a script on its head of SEO and paying for ads and trying to get new people to find your brand, and has you focus instead on the customer journey. And every chapter has an exercise that you can actually do and get results, and people are sharing this like crazy. So this is why I suspect Superfans is going to massively outperform Will It Fly over the long haul, because it's something that's much more easily achievable or able to do. Now, I know you have a book that likely you want to change people's lives with. That's absolutely key. But if you want to change somebody's life, start by changing their day first, right? And I'm not saying you have to change the topic of your book to be something that literally changes your day, like The Miracle Morning from Hal Elrod, but have things in there that offer quick wins, especially early on in the book. This becomes a marketing effort. Selling more books sells more books, right? This is just like Tesla. A Tesla sells more the more Tesla it sells. Because what happens? You drive a Tesla, you share it, you bring your friends in, they are blown away. You have that, what's called the Tesla smile, right? When you bring somebody in there and you go full throttle, and it's just like this crazy thrust with no gear shifting. That's unlike anything else other than a roller coaster. And then you get interested, right? The more Tesla sells, the more Tesla sells, right? The more books that you sell, the more books that you should sell. That's how it should be. Willify did not do that great of a job of that because it was so heavy right from the start. I could have included some quick wins right in the beginning of the book that could then also allow people to share it. That's the other thing about things like the Miracle Morning, right? You get up early in the morning. I mean, you take a picture of your alarm clock to show everybody. What are you doing? Oh, it's this thing called Miracle Morning, and it spreads itself, right? Yo, Kindlepreneur in the house. By the way, y'all have to check out this man because Mr. Chesson is one of the smartest people in the world. Dave, you are so helpful in the world of publishing books, especially on Amazon. He's also a family guy like myself. Just love you, man. Thank you so much for the help. Kindlepreneur.com is where you want to go. You can follow his YouTube channel here or follow his work online. And he just has literally some of the best information about publishing books in general, but definitely Kindlepreneur, right? That makes sense. Super helpful. Thank you. And since you're here, Dave, what other tips do you have? Feel free to share with the audience. Feel free to share with the audience. You are here for sure, and you are very capable of helping everybody here because we're all talking about books right now, as you know. I don't know when you came in, but we're talking about book marketing strategies today. Now, Kindle in particular is really interesting, right? Because Kindle itself has some mechanisms for you to be found, right? And I would definitely dive into kindlepreneur.com to learn more about these kinds of strategies, but SEO definitely plays a role. In fact, I have a friend of mine, his name is Todd Tressiter from thefinancialmentor.com, one of my great friends online, and we've been in a mastermind group for nearly a decade together, which is pretty amazing. And he writes his books specifically to take advantage of Amazon and the algorithm, right? So he ranks for things like, how much money do I need to retire, right? In fact, if I were to go to Amazon right now, I wonder if his book would pop up. Let's see if we can even do this challenge as we go. How much money? See, I just literally typed up how much money, and there's, like Google, a search engine and an algorithm at play, right? Todd Tressiter. The first, what? Dude, Todd, killing it. So he's got a couple versions of this, but yeah, really good. Now, you see, this is very much built for taking advantage of the keywords here and search engine optimization. And Todd has several books. I mean, look at this. This is all stuff that relates to his work, and he teaches very high-level financial advice to people, and this is how he brings people in from Kindle. This is the start of the journey of people and his customer journey with a low-end product here on Amazon based on what people are looking for. He provides value. They want to go deeper because there's so much more involved, and these all become different entry points for him, right? These all become different entry points for his work. And his courses sometimes run over $1,000, hundreds of dollars, right? And this is just such a genius approach. It's a different approach than mine, which are more Pat Flynn authority building, but this does the same thing for him. I'm just taking advantage more of, and I definitely do more podcast interviews. I definitely take advantage of more of my network when I publish. And again, that works too. But I mean, Amazon is a beast, and it can help you like crazy, right? And if I were to go to how much money do I need to retire, I'm going to find another book related to that. So let's see, maybe this one, right? And I'm going to scroll down, and you'll find, likely, look at this, sponsored products related to this item. He's also definitely doing ads. Todd is, as Kindlepreneur here will teach you, as well as Dave will teach you too. But discoverability, right? They say that the first book that shows up in a search result gets 30% of all the clicks. That's just That's just crazy, right? Just like keyword research and keywords on Google. If I were to scroll down here, where's the people who bought this also bought this, or people who books you may also like? Oh, I guess this is just based on my search history and stuff. Okay. Well, anyway, you can show up and get discovered by paying for ads in Amazon's marketplace, right? Because Amazon has all this data of people's history, browsing history, keywords, all this stuff. You can show up on other people's books, right? So for a while, when I was promoting my book, Will It Fly, I was actually targeting a lot of Tim Ferriss's audience and a lot of other entrepreneurs that we know to get found. And it was working a little bit. Now, I've just been focusing more on the organic growth on Kindle, but this is something you definitely want to pay attention to. And Todd's going all in on that. Very proud of Todd. Such a smart guy. And of course, his books, the title matches the search. I mean, he's building these books from the results of Amazon tools that are out there to help you figure out what to do. All right. Who's doing what here? I see people asking, like, can do math. I don't know what's going on. All right. Thought I missed something. I was paying terrible attention the last 5 minutes because we just had an earthquake. Luckily, I can watch the replay. Earthquake. Wow. Hope you're okay. Hope all is well. I don't know where in the world you live, but that's something that we here in California, we just are used to, right? We're just used to the earthquakes. They're little. I like little tiny earthquakes, especially because they're like little farts. That's what we call them in the family. It's like, oh, little fart. The earth was, farted a little bit today, and that relieves a little bit of pressure. Now I know there's a lot of myths around the fact that little farts like that relieve pressure, and then it doesn't mean there isn't a big one coming. But I'm talking about earthquakes, by the way, if you just popped in. But anyway, that's just what we call them in the family. I don't know where you are, but yeah. Sorry I'm late. I've got a book called Coast Guard Boot Camp Survival Guide. This is Julian. Very cool. Now, of course, your description matters. The velocity matters on Amazon, right, Dave? If you get a lot of people buying and downloading your book in a short period of time, much like how podcasts are ranked in Apple, you will outpace and outrank other books, right? It's a velocity game, which is why, and I want to shift over to your launch day or your launch week. Letting people, yep, little fart, exactly. Jamin says, you recently promoted Ben Hardy's book about personality. Yes, Personality Isn't Permanent, which I shared last Friday here, and he's going to be a guest on the podcast. And you're wondering, and this is a great question, and then I'll get into sort of the launch of your book and the launch day. How did that happen? It was through a recommendation from a friend who I trusted, reached out to me and provided a really great email about the value that Ben could provide coming on my show. And so I brought him on the show. And he just happened to also have a book coming out at the same time, which I know that Ben probably asked this person, or this person saw and wanted to offer some value to Ben. I don't know how that happened, but it was through a recommendation. Rafal, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. And that's how it happened. We connected. I really enjoyed the vibe. This is why I also love podcast episodes, because we can connect as a real human-to-human interaction, human-to-human connection there. And from there, I was just like, yo, I want to support your book. I really love the idea. It's challenging me. I love that. And, the interview and the connection from a friend, that's really how it happened. So now he's going to come on the podcast, and his book is ranking really high right now. It's out and available, which is pretty cool. So that's kind of how it happened. Cool. So let's get into the launch of your stuff. So launch day should be a big deal, because like I was saying, the velocity, the amount of people, the amount of reviews, the amount of stuff that can happen in a short period of time helps you. Now, there's also things that can hurt you, right? Like if you get too many reviews on day one, it could trigger Amazon to go, wait a second, pay for all these, and they're not even verified viewers or verified purchases. Like, what is going on here, right? You can have people review your stuff who read it elsewhere, right? So like your review team, for example. However, you really want to encourage your review team to actually purchase the book if possible, because you could get not penalized, but just like a lot of these reviews aren't going to come through. In fact, we found the same thing with the Switch Pod. We had so much love for the Switch Pod when it finally came on Amazon. We had a lot of people who wanted to support us, and they left a review on Amazon for the Switch Pod that they bought elsewhere or just on our website or through the Kickstarter campaign. And a lot of those didn't come through because Amazon was like, these aren't real. There's so many. This is a red flag because a lot of people are doing black hat strategies to make that happen. So if you can encourage your book readers, and thankfully books often will cost less, there is another strategy of price changing, which can help you with book marketing as well. That's where we'll finish up today. And then I want to take some questions as well. Quick breath. But the launch day, you want to provide as much noise in there as possible. More sales. That's ultimately what we want. So these podcast interviews that you're doing, if you can all try to have them all happen in a specific moment, that could work. Can Do Math says, I'm from California too. Okay, cool. No worries. Try to have the love from your network. These podcast interviews come out the week. I mean, you can't tell people that, hey, my book launches on this date. If you could have your podcast episode come out that date, that would be great. And you can expect them to change their schedule around because podcasters typically have their own schedule. And it's not their job to change everything for you. However, in many cases, if you have a great relationship, perhaps they'll create even a bonus episode. It really depends. Again, the relationships really matter. But in addition to that, trying to stack them all in the same week to try to get as much velocity, to get as much exposure as possible. Make sure there are links on those sales pages during that week. If you do happen to be a guest on another person's podcast, go to their podcast show notes page. And if that link isn't there, ask them to put it there and ask them to put an affiliate link there as well. That's of value to them as well. Right? Hey, since you mentioned this book, I just wanted to mention that I didn't see it linked to on the page, which is okay, but I think that you could potentially make some money from it as well. But just using your Amazon affiliate link for that. And you can put it on the page. Thank you so much again for the support, right? Having people know when your launch date is, however, or in addition, like with your emails, right? Letting people know 1 week ahead of time. Hey guys, next week, that's the big week. We have this thing coming. The book's coming out. Look forward to it. We have some special pricing. We have some bonuses. There's some things that you can do for people who, and this is something I did when Will It Fly launched. I said that if you are one of the first 1,000 people to purchase the book, forward your receipt to this email address and I'll send you something, right? And I actually sent a postcard to the first 1,000 people thanking them for that, which is pretty cool. And that was a big deal because this was my first business book. And then after a week, I saw that it was a Wall Street Journal bestseller, which was pretty incredible. And I didn't know that was possible with the self-published book, but I stacked a lot. I blocked out a lot of time to just focus on the book launch, right? So, this is a main event for you. So you train for it, you build for it, you make space for it, you commit to it, you time block. And even if you're a small sort of entrepreneur, you're a small author, you can still make time to connect with those who are buying your book, who are reading it, get involved, have, host a Twitter chat with the hashtag of the book and just be there to support people, do an AMA, like whatever you think you can do to provide value and to connect with people during that time is going to help you, right? So planning ahead of schedule, letting people know through your email, letting people know, sending personalized videos to people ahead of time that your book is going to be coming out soon. Like all this stuff is really key so that by the time your book comes out, it's already known, it's there, and you've done it. You've done the job, right? You've done the job. My Castle Life. That's a great idea with the email receipt. Writing a postcard for 1,000 people, it can be a little tedious, but there's some things you can do to offer a bonus. Maybe there's a special bonus that you offer for people who, get the book within the first week, for example. So what you can do is go, hey, send a copy of your receipt, and you can just do this based on the honor system. Some people, maybe a few people, will send an email to this without having done that, but that's okay. Send an email to bonus@smartpassiveincome.com. And what you can do is you can set up a vacation reply so that this is automated for you. And that vacation reply will be, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate the email. I received it. Here is your bonus. And it could just be a link to like a Dropbox link or an Amazon S3 link to, some PDF file or special bonus, whatever the bonus might be. Have it be something related to the book, obviously, something helpful to your audience too. And that can go a long way. So that could be fun. And also, I tried the book bundle thing, where you're like, hey, if you buy 5 copies of this book, I'll do this. If you buy 50 copies of this book, I'll, do that, and I've done that, and that does work, but it's like so much extra effort, right? Like I did this thing where if people bought 100 copies of my book, I would go and go to their conference or something like that, right? Which, it's tough because then essentially you become somebody people can buy, right? And yeah, you're trying to get the book out there, but I'd much rather have those kinds of situations be more organic and have the book sell itself from person to person and from influencers who have connected with earlier, as opposed to like a during the week launch, having a 5-book bundle, a 10-book bundle, etc. Especially if it's on Amazon, you can't really do that. It's much more difficult to do that. You can do special pricing though. That's another thing that works really well. So for example, I usually launch my books on Kindle at a much lower price, $2.99 or $4.99, and then raise the price at a certain date, because people FOMO, man. People have this fear of missing out on these deals, even if it's like a $5 savings. The fact that there is a reason to purchase now is key. This is your job as a marketer. Give people a reason to purchase now, and that sense of urgency or that sense of something that might be lost definitely plays a role in helping people click to actually make a purchase and go through, right? So keep that in mind. You can do a pricing strategy on Kindle. It's a lot easier to change the pricing and to have a lot of people get in now before the price goes up later. And then you'll see yourself climb in the rankings. You have these bonuses available, all these things sort of working in conjunction with each other, all within a short period of time to help you grow your book too. So Julian says, how did you get Wall Street Journal bestseller? I heard Russell Brunson self-published and sold 10,000 plus, but wasn't able to get it. Andy says, Pat, you look good today. I like your shirt. Thank you so much. I have to credit April for my haircut though. That's really where I think this is coming from. But how did I get Wall Street Journal bestseller, says Julian. So I think it was about 7,000, and I became Wall Street Journal bestseller in the ebook category. And there's different categories, and it also depends on what's happening that week, right? I think that there's a little bit of luck involved in terms of having your book come out and be popular during a week where there aren't other people publishing or other popular books that are taking those spaces at the same time. With Wall Street Journal and with USA Today, it's very much a volume game. With New York Times, I mean, there's so many other things at play there, from politics to just who do you know, and I don't even want to get into that. And honestly, the list was just a nice bonus. But if you try to write a book to get on a list, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Have your book be written to help people, to spread the message, to share and almost sell itself to others because the message is so valuable, and you might end up getting on a list, right? Which is pretty cool. And I was so thankful. I was just so blown away that actually happened. And it really happened because I put a lot of effort into getting to know people and to connect and to put myself out there and to serve others first. And the world had an amazing way during that time, and many of you, to pay me back, and to have that be a Wall Street Journal bestseller was pretty awesome, right? There is something to be said for being on one of those lists. However, you can be an Amazon bestseller much easier. You can even gamify that a little bit by choosing different categories that may not be as popular to get that #1 status, which does come with a little bit of authority, although it's a lot more known now that it can be gamified a little bit, but it's still legit in my opinion. But that being said, there's just so much more weight in having a very valuable book that people talk about and endorse for you versus just the #1 Amazon bestseller status, which again is pretty easy to get these days. It's not easy. It's simple, and there's a process and there's ways to get into that. Woo. Yes, so that's what I was referring to. If a book is picked up, confidence is attached. Exactly, and that's what I want to encourage you to do. So hey y'all, we got 9 minutes left, and we talked a lot about different kinds of strategies. I'd love to answer your questions. Dave is here as well. Definitely check out kindlepreneur.com, and Mr. Dave Chesson, who's there to help you on Kindle. And I hope this was helpful for you. The last thing I'll say is that as questions are coming in, if you do have a question, type in the word question in all caps, followed by your question. That way I could scroll through it. I probably won't be able to get to everybody's question, but I'll go through a few. And the last thing I'll say is that inside my book, Will It Fly, and Superfans, I have a call to action for people to join a companion course. This is a course that cannot stand on its own. It has to be kind of taken along with the book. And in fact, it's massive value because this companion course, by the way, the inspiration for that was a show called The Walking Dead. Because The Walking Dead had a thing where, and The Walking Dead still exists, it's on AMC. But before The Walking Dead plays, my wife and I were huge fans for the first 6 seasons. We even went to conventions and stuff. We didn't cosplay but we were close. Anyway, WalkingDeadStorySync.com would be a promotion before the episodes came out. And it was a place for people to go to get some behind the scenes information, to get some more info about the actors and the actresses and the story and whatnot. And it was really cool, right? To have that sort of side by side. You see it on the screen, you see it on your television screen. They're up, which is really incredible. So I wanted to provide something similar because that was much better than just, oh, you can get the audiobook for free, or hey, you can, download this PDF guide, which probably should have been included in the book anyway, right? Versus a companion course where you come in and all the links that are mentioned in the book, they're neatly laid out chapter by chapter in this companion course. All the things that are a little bit more complicated in this book, I show you how to do them with video in the course. Maybe 10% of the lessons had videos. All the images that are here in the book that are black and white, they're high res and color, and you can zoom in and you can actually look at my notes in the companion course. And I mentioned it in the beginning of the book, I mentioned it at the end, and definitely throughout. That converts at 53%. 53% of readers of my book, Will It Fly, convert to email addresses. That has helped me grow my book because I can reach out and connect with those people. And here's the final story that I want to share with you. And then I'll answer a few questions. So I had a goal of having 200 reviews by about a month after my book was launched. And I had 88 reviews with 1 day left because I just didn't focus on that. I wasn't really focused on getting reviews for my book. And it just so happened that I had 88, which is my favorite number, 88 miles per hour. But I had 1 day to get to 200. So I realized I had this list of people who I knew were reading my book, and many of them having finished the book. So I reached out to them via email. I had all their names, all segmented in my ConvertKit email list. And I reached out to them and said, hey, I hope you've been enjoying Will It Fly. If you've read it, awesome. Thank you so much. If you're in the middle of it and you're already getting value, I appreciate you. If you could do me a huge favor, I've been hoping to get to 200 reviews by tomorrow, and I totally forgot. But this is my ask of you. If you've enjoyed the book, even if you're still in the middle of it, you can always change your review later if you change your mind. However, go to this link here, leave a review. I would appreciate it so much. It would very much help out the book, and I hope, again, that you're getting value and that you're enjoying the companion course. So I woke up the next day, and I had nearly 300 reviews. I well surpassed. I literally woke up, and the next morning, I had that many reviews because I had those people's email lists, or I had those people's emails on my list, which was pretty cool. I can imagine Pat talking for an hour in a cosplay suit. Maybe challenge accepted. We'll see. April says, ever since I found out about your Superfans book, I wondered why you didn't create a Superfans Facebook group. Have you ever considered doing that to have a place where your fans can gather? I have. However, I have so many Facebook groups for a lot of my paid students already, and I want to give them value. I also I have a community group on Facebook with about 50,000 members that is managed there as well. And to have another place for people to go to, I thought it was a little bit too much. I do have a companion course for superfans, and I have thousands of emails from people who have read my book there too. But this is why we're putting together a hub later in July with SPI Pro, a paid membership program for people who are committed to their online business. That's really like a safe place to come, and a safe place to feel connected and to commit to your business. So that's coming. But anyway, more questions. Thank you, April, for that one. If people pitch you bad with no value for you, etc., do you sometimes answer them with teaching that they do it wrong, or do you always just ignore them? I don't purposefully ignore them, but sometimes I ignore them out of the fact that they just didn't capture my attention, right? So it's, I'm not trying to put the blame on them, but it kind of is, right? I don't usually go back and teach. I don't think that that's my place, especially with somebody who's reaching out. It can often come across a little embarrassing. If they ask for help, then I will offer some resources and value for that. But literally, I get pinged 300 to 400 times a day across all my channels. There's no way possible that even if somebody were to do it right, that it will get its way through. It's very difficult, right? And this is how most people who are at the high level performance level with tons of channels, with a team, and just so much people trying to ask for their attention. It's hard, and it's not always guaranteed, even if you do it right. But the truth is that you can predict your future by doing nothing. If you do nothing, you get nothing. And what's the worst that can happen, right? You go out there, you pitch, you learn, you see what works, you see what doesn't. You do more of what does, less of what doesn't. Grandma Goody says, it was your Will It Fly companion course that won me over. Thank you so much. Let's see. This is that is a great niche question. How can we show value to our predetermined audience? So you could offer a lead magnet related to this topic, and maybe it's even the first chapter of the book that you let people in on and give people access to ahead of time. Perhaps you take some people through the process that you're teaching in the book, and then you bring them on your podcast to describe the sequence of events and what happened and the objections and the hard parts and the great parts and the wins and what's life like after. Now you are sharing this process. And by the way, now that you've helped 3 people get these results, guess what? I have the entire step-by-step sequence here in this book now that you can get on July 31st when the book comes out, etc. Question, when will we get the link for the course later, Pat Flynn? When will we get the link for the course? Which course, Martin? Let me know what you're talking about. I want to make sure I get you what you need. Question, can you recommend several self-publishing book companies you'd recommend? I have one that I would recommend, and this is somebody who I work with now, Ryan, over at New Type Publishing. It's sort of a hybrid company that allows you to stay self-published, but also, very, very generous royalties and get book distribution, which is pretty cool, right? And I'm sure Dave here from Kindlepreneur has some resources for those of you who just want to go the generic self-published route, publishing on Kindle, but you still need some help and access to people, editors and whatnot. Cool. Save Like a Bear says, I feel bad if I don't contribute to the chat, but I'm a sponge for all the information. Please don't feel bad. Please don't feel bad. You are providing value by being here, by absorbing this content, and hopefully taking action on it. And honestly, having your number show up as one of the viewers here means the world to me. So thank you so much. And hook me up with a thumbs up, all of you, if you haven't done so already. We got 2 minutes left. The monetizing podcast course. Yes. Martin, you should be getting an email very shortly with a link to that. It should be coming out very soon, probably within the next 30 minutes. If you don't, send an email to help@teamspi.com and you'll get access to that. But it should be sent should be sent your way very soon. Excuse me, and that'll be a link to a Zoom call where I'll see you in about an hour, Martin, about the podcast advertising, which is pretty cool. Thank you, Martin. Looking forward to seeing you there. Are you going to be an affiliate for us? Says Sherrie. That's an interesting question because I am not exactly sure what it is that you're talking about, right? And again, this is sort of not to pick on you, but this is like this kind of question, the way it's phrased, and I know that we're just casually talking here in the live chat, but it still comes across as very you-centric, right? And if you were to ask somebody, hey, would you like to be an affiliate for us? It basically is just code for, hey, I want to use you to help sell more things versus, hey, I have this knowledge and I have this thing that can help your audience. I'd love to even, if you help share this, pay you for that through my affiliate program, right? And so that just kind of is a different way to phrase it. Anyway, and then finally here from My Castle Life, God bless you and your family. God bless you and all of your families as well. You don't have to do this, but I feel those who give to others freely receive freely from God himself. 100% agree. Thank you. I appreciate you for that. Day 96, y'all. 96 days of free content here, 1 hour a day. We're almost at day 100. Make sure you mark your calendars for 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday, which is day 100. We're going to do some special stuff there, and we're going to have some fun and probably do some massive giveaways, things like that. It should be a good time, and it'll be an extended time as well. So that's Saturday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll go for 2 hours during that day. It'll be a lot of fun. And yeah. Xavier, what was your question? I know you're a student, so I want to hook you up, see if I can get to that. Anybody else get that song in their head? Xavier, where's your question? Where's your question? Okay. I don't see it. Give, great question. Hope Pat gets it. Could you please explain how confidence plays a part in publishing? It's a huge part. From the confidence to put your words to paper, to type those words out, confidence to sell your book. If you're not confident in the book that you're publishing, how in the world are you going to get somebody else on the other end of the world who doesn't know you as well as you do to be confident in it too? You almost feel like it's lying sometimes if you're not confident in it. So that confidence is really key. And you can get that confidence from paying attention to the small baby wins. You can gain that confidence by connecting with others who are there to support you and by getting people results. And this is why I love getting people results first before creating, because then it gives me confidence that what it is that I'm teaching will actually help people too. Penny, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Where you at, Xavier? It sounds all so complicated. I feel you have to have good finances to get it all up, and a large audience helps a ton. What are your thoughts? I mean, the bigger the audience, obviously, the more likely it is that you're going to succeed. However, there's been some amazing success stories from people who have just started out. I mean, think about how Elrod, nobody knew who he was. He created a book, self-published, so he didn't have to invest a lot of money. And no, you don't have to invest a lot of money at all in order to make this happen. You need to invest time, however, and you need to invest time not just into the writing and the promotions of your book, but you need to invest time into getting to know who it is that you're writing this book for, what is it going to do for them, nailing who it is your target audience is and what they need help with, and getting the confidence to go out there and put that information into a packaged thing called a book and putting it out there in the world. So I just want to encourage you, if you consider all the blockers, you're not going to do it, right? Consider those hurdles that you can get over that other people are having trouble getting over, that will help you through persistence, through grit, and through the help from others, from people who have paved the way before us, Kindlepreneur, Dave here, and other people. And take it one step at a time. Like we talked about yesterday, get that first draft done. When you have that first draft, everything else changes, right? And you're going to work even harder to get it out there, right? And even if it's sitting there for a while and nobody's read it, guess what? You work to get more people. You have 5 people buy it on the first day. And yes, some of them are your family members, but then the next month you have 10. And the next month after that, after reaching out, getting the word out there because you really believe in this thing, you have persistence, you get over those hurdles, now you have 50 people, which turns into 100, which turns into 1,000. And like Hal Elrod, having sold 500 million in Brazil, he is the most popular author in Brazil. In his first month, he only sold 3,000. This is a long-term game here. Plus, it helps you build authority, helps you help other people, which is the name of the game. So, Team Flynn, thank you so much for today. I appreciate you. Xavier, thank you for pushing me on that question. I think that was a great note to end on. Louis B., thank you for forwarding his question over. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you. Make sure to come in tomorrow. I am starting a little early tomorrow, just so you know, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, because I start a half hour earlier on Wednesdays to accommodate for a call with the mastermind group that I have. So important. So anyway, half hour earlier tomorrow. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming in today. This was a lot of fun. Team Flynn, you're amazing. As always, Team Flynn for the win. Dave, special guest today. Thank you so much for coming on and dropping some value here in the chat. I appreciate you. Kindlepreneur.com is where you want to go for that. Make sure to check out part 1 from yesterday if you haven't already. And hey, y'all, thank you so much. Peace out. See a few of you later on the podcast advertising workshop. And love you. See you soon. Peace.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Hey, y'all, thanks so much. Keep that energy going. Keep that confidence level high. Do what you can to gain that confidence. Help people get results. And you will see that over time, those baby steps, those little results that you get others, those small wins turn into bigger and bigger and bigger wins. And appreciate you. Thanks for the love. Hook me up with a thumbs up before you go. Peace out.
Bruh.